Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino here, and we have a wonderful guest from beautiful Austin, Texas. We have Lindsay. How you doing today, Lindsay?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I know. We talked about this a while back, and we finally got it on the calendar.
I know I was really excited. So thank you again.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of us who aren't too familiar with you, would you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Lindsay Pearlstein, and I live here in Austin, Texas. I've been here for about 8 years. I'm originally from Massachusetts and decided to attend UT Austin, where I met Aaron. And after my 4 years there, I continued to live in Austin. I really saw no need to leave and had so much, fun here, so many friends here, such big job opportunities here as well. So I've been here now for about those 8 years and call it home.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious. Growing up, did you know that you wanted to move to another state like Texas, or how did Texas even get on your radar?
So Texas is an amazing state in that it provides so many public universities for high school students to give them relatively affordable options to attend school. Massachusetts really only has one main true state university, and it's not all that affordable. And so, because of that, so many people seek external options. And, when you're going out of state and paying out of state tuition at a state school, you're still paying about half the cost you would to go to a private school, which is really what's available up north. And so, due to that, so many people in my graduating class did decide to go out of state, and do seek out those options maybe more frequently than someone in Texas does because there's more need to. So I kind of always had it in the back of my head that I wanted to do something different. I wanted to go to a school where I didn't know anyone and meet all new friends, have a really different experience. And I'll never forget, my dad went to a small liberal arts school in Massachusetts. My mom went to a big state school down south. And all growing up, he told me just how many regrets he had for not being able to go to football games and tailgates and having warm weather to go to the pool in February. So that all kind of stuck with me. And when UT accepted me, I said that day I'm going.
Absolutely. I'm just curious as well. Were you more so looking at the school or the city or the program? I mean, there's A&M, there's Baylor, there's all these different places. Why Austin?
Definitely. So I needed to be close to a major airport. I needed to go back and forth to go home for Thanksgiving and Christmas and summers. And I wanted my family to be able to visit and friends to visit. So to me, being within, half an hour from an airport was absolutely crucial. That kind of filtered it down. By the same token, I did want a fun city to be near, both for potential internship opportunities and also just for fun restaurants and, going out. And so, because of all that, Austin really had everything I was looking for. My major was actually applied learning and development through the College of Education. And as I started going through and looking at the college more, it was ranked number one for public universities that year. And so I just thought, this place has everything that I'm looking for. And if they accept me, I will be the luckiest person alive and will put my deposit down that day.
That's awesome. I guess you were sold right then and there, huh?
I was really sold. A visit didn't hurt. I mean,
Yeah, and I'm sure that the warm weather helps too. I couldn't live in a cold place for an extended period of time.
to be able to visit in January, February, March, see people by the pool and, see people wearing short sleeves and the sun shining, it really makes the decision for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So what else do you like? I guess you've been in Austin for a while. What do you like about the city?
There's so much that I love about Austin. Part of that is the outdoor spaces that it provides. And so the access to the Greenbelt, to Barton Springs, these are things that are, if not free, so affordable. Maybe a $5 entrance fee and nothing to park. So both for a college student, a young professional, families, like This means that on the weekends, you don't have to be budgeting hundreds of dollars to have fun. You can really go and enjoy them, and they encourage you to do so. That's one of my favorite parts about Austin. I would say another favorite part about Austin that's different than so many major cities is its size. It's so accessible to get everywhere, and it really is a small city. You're getting tons of different types of neighborhoods, but any one of my friends to go visit them, it's not going to take me any more than 20 minutes. And for my current job, if I was making these hour commutes to go to different parts of Houston, it would just take triple the amount of time to do the job that I'm doing. So
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
that.
I mean, somewhere like Houston, you really have to, from the time, maybe even the night before, right? You have to plan out your day because you're going to be driving, right?
Mhm. And I'm not the best driver, I'll fully admit. So minimizing time in the car is really helpful for me.
Yeah, fair enough. That's what I like about Austin too, is that, it is growing, but yet it's still accessible and, easy to get around for the most part.
Agreed. Of course, there's the live music and there's the stuff that everyone references when they talk about Austin, the booming tech scene. But just on a personal level, those are the two things that I think people forget about that are really beneficial.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Lindsay. So I'm just curious as well. I know you said you made your way down to Austin, I guess starting college here, graduating, and you were in education, right?
Yes, I was.
Okay, yeah. Could you kind of explain maybe your time in education to where you are now?
Of course. So I studied applied learning and development, as I mentioned, which is a 4-year degree through the College of Education. With that, there was a student teaching component. And so that program is really enabling you to become a teacher. It also has a lot to do with how people learn, psychology, how the brain works, those sorts of things. But when you graduate, you're really set up to go into teaching. And so upon graduation, I got a teaching job in Austin. I taught public for a year, and then I went into the private education realm for several years and really loved both for different reasons. Um, Decided that, you know, the number one reason I liked the job was helping people. But at the same time, the hours were insane and you're really not getting, the pay or benefits that so many other jobs are giving. Um, so was seeking out other options, and my dad has been in real estate for about 35 plus years now. And for my whole life has said, you need to do real estate, you need to get into that. And I was thinking like, no, I'm fine. I'm going to do my own thing and create my own path. Um, but of course, it always interested me. And I think the reason I didn't do it was solely because I had someone telling me I should and being stubborn. So finally sat down, with my dad, and he said, look, you have the work ethic, you love the industry. Why are you not doing this? You can make your own hours, yes, but more importantly, you get to help people. And that's what you love most about your job. You can be able to help people and also provide for yourself. Like, that would be nice. And so I just thought, those two could go hand in hand. Okay, why don't I give this a try?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, it's pretty neat because regardless of where we're at, in our career or life, wherever, sometimes you just need a nudge in the right direction.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm curious as well because you're in real estate and you came from education. In a sense, you're kind of still using that exercising or educating component, right? Because you're kind of educating your clients about maybe the home buying process, right?
Yes, I feel like I'm still an educator every single day, both with educating on the home buying process, educating others on, how to maximize the most for their home, preparing their home for sale, talking to people about next steps, helping people create plans for their future, helping people with wealth building. So I constantly feel like I'm educating, and I really, really enjoy that part of the process. I also think because I taught fourth and fifth grades, I do a pretty good job of breaking things down to a simple level which so many people in the industry that have been in it for so long, they really see it in this complicated way, and that's how they explain it. But especially for a first time home buyer, they want simple. They want to know what's going on. What does this process look like? Can you put it in just like normal people terms? So I feel like that's one of my strengths.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to, be able to kind of take all that information and condense it into something that makes sense.
It is. And I'll also add too, something that I think is really valuable was having difficult conversations as a teacher. You know, you're talking about someone's child, their pride and joy for the most part. And those conversations aren't always positive. And so sometimes you have to, talk about a potential learning disability or a behavioral challenge. And so having difficult conversations and knowing how to do that really relates well to real estate when you're talking about someone's largest financial asset and the options for them there.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely see parallels between those things and, kind of having those difficult but, necessary conversations.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe from, someone who's not familiar with the Austin market or the area, what does the city look like in terms of real estate?
So the city right now is booming. It's red hot. I mean, companies, you see articles every single day. This company's moving their headquarters here. This company's adding another, HQ. And so we have this influx of people moving here. By the same token, we have so many people that are relatively young working in tech that make great money, that are able to buy houses at a young age and have been planning for that. And so we have all of those people that ready to go. And so the housing inventory isn't there. It's not there to support people. And so we have just simply too many buyers and not enough houses for sale. And that extends to areas outside of Austin, that extends up north, down south, east and west. People have genuinely been moving everywhere. I would say it's not like some other cities where there's only one neighborhood or one, part of town that people want to live in. People want to live in every area of Austin for different reasons. And so there's enough people that want to live in all of them that it's created some utter madness.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's an understatement, huh?
It's an understatement.
No, yeah, I guess that's kind of what makes the, new construction homes appealing is because the inventory is so low and, people want those homes.
People want those homes and people want that security. People want to know, okay, this home's going to be completed in June. Even if it gets extended to July or August, I have that home, that's mine. And I don't have to keep running around like a chicken with my head cut off for the next 6 months because I've got this one and I can relax.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely appealing about, kind of those pre-construction homes, you can get everything lined up until construction is done.
Yes, and I will say that a lot of people that are moving here, have seen what's going on. And so they're getting longer term Airbnbs or starting the renting process. So not as many people are in a time crunch necessarily as you might think.
Yeah, absolutely. I would imagine. So I'm curious as well, at least on your Instagram, you do a terrific job with your stories and being able to, kind of, again, educate people. I've seen Round Rock, I've seen Horseshoe Bay. Where are you mostly working in?
Well, first of all, thank you because Instagram, I kind of laugh. It takes a lot of time. I always thought it was this app and influencers were, this and that, and they didn't have a real job. But there's so much time and thought that goes into when you post things, what content you're posting, being able to respond to people in a timely fashion. So thank you for that compliment. I work in all areas of Austin. I would say most commonly, I'm in like true Austin, whether that's downtown or just north of downtown in Hyde Park, in Allendale, in Brentwood, or just south of downtown in like 78745, Westgate, South Congress area. That being said, yes, we service Horseshoe Bay, we service Round Rock, Kyle, Buda, Leander, Liberty Hill, Georgetown, Del Valle. I can go on and on. Westlake, Lakeway, all of the above. So any given day, I could be driving to one, if not all of them, depending on the clients that I'm helping.
Yeah, absolutely. Now you segued into something interesting as well as, what does Lindsay's day to day look like?
Every day is completely different, which is exciting, but also exhausting. Uh, and so I could wake up and have a full, list of things I need to get done, and a home comes on the market. They receive an offer within a half hour. My clients are like, "We need to go there." I drop everything. We have to go see that house. And if they want to make an offer on it, like I have to take time to do that as well. And so every day looks completely different. No day starts out looking the same as I have planned for it. And so flexibility is definitely required to do this job.
Yeah, absolutely. At least based off the explanation you gave, it seems like it would be difficult to plan for the day. How do you keep yourself organized?
I definitely time block certain things. And that being said, prioritization is key. And so there are tasks that I have to complete that day. And if I'm working until midnight, they're getting done. There are other tasks that can wait until tomorrow or maybe even a week from now that I'm just doing more preparatory things that will need to get put off. And sometimes they're put off for multiple days. Um, but the clients are at the heart of what I do. And so making sure that if we need to offer, if we need to, go see a home that they're definitely going to offer on, that needs to take priority and come to the forefront.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And I do know, as you mentioned, you work with those first time home buyers. Let's say someone is new to the process. Could you kind of walk us through maybe what it would look like, buying a home for the first time?
Of course, of course. So it's going to look different for everyone just because everyone has different, finances and different wants and needs. So we start off with a buyer consultation, and that's us simply going through together, me learning more about them, what their wants are, why they're looking to get into a home. For certain people, that's a true investment for them. For others, it's they're starting a family. Um, there are so many reasons, quite honestly. So making it more about them is the first part of that, and making sure that I'm able to meet their needs. The second part of that is us going through the buying process as a whole together, me educating them about all the steps. And then the third part is going through a market overview with them, helping them understand what the market's going to look like. It's so important right now to be setting expectations with people because otherwise there's a lot of disappointment, right? If they don't know that there's going to be multiple offers on every home they offer on, that's going to be a real shock to their systems. If we get to the first house that we're going to make an offer on and they don't know to go above asking, that's like gut wrenching to them that they're going to have to put more money forward. So I think transparency is key, and setting those expectations is key, especially with first time home buyers, so that they know that this might cost more. Talking about closing costs, those sorts of things that people that have bought a home will know. First time home buyers generally have no idea. That being said, I think the same is true for anyone buying their second or third or fourth house, or anyone that hasn't bought in Austin before. When I have clients that have been in their home for 20 years, and that was a completely different market, and so I think it's important to educate them in the same ways now too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great that you're able to offer that to your clients, regardless of, whether they've owned their home for a quite, a long period of time or whether it's their first time.
It is, and then it's catered to everyone differently, so it also depends on their timeline if they absolutely need to be in a home in the next month or they're going to be homeless, versus they're willing to be in a home in the next year and be patient with what's coming to market.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It sounds like I know you mentioned how you work downtown. Are there any other specific parts of town that you see people kind of gravitating towards?
Right now, a lot of people have realized the market is insane and tried to expand their horizons. And so, people that I'm working with that have been mostly looking, just for example, in, you know, Allendale and Brentwood and Hyde Park, are now having to go a little further north to potentially Crestview, to potentially, North Shoal Creek and other areas. What's difficult about that is then, of course, I have my other clients that have been looking in Windsor Park and have been looking in North Shoal Creek and these other areas that were more affordable, that are now getting outbid because these people with higher price points have expanded their horizons. And now those clients of mine are having to expand even further. And so that's been really interesting. But I would just say that overall, it doesn't matter where you're looking in Austin right now, because the same is going to hold true for most areas.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You brought up a few great points about, setting expectations, for your customers, and, kind of encouraging people to be open-minded about, hey, maybe you want this, but there's also other options too, right?
Definitely. And I think that it's hard because people have this dream of home ownership, coupled with the fact that they're watching HGTV and all these other shows, and they're seeing people get into their dream homes, and they're thinking that'll be their journey. And so right now, that's not necessarily the case. And people are either having to compromise on price, location, or, the actual home that they're getting. Most often, they're compromising on two of those right now. And I've even seen people having to make compromises on all three. And so I would just tell people, if you're entering the market right now, that you're going to need to be flexible. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I'm sure a first-time home buyer would want to know, how do you go about making an offer? I mean, let's say that you take me to a home in Horseshoe Bay. I say, hey, Lindsay, let's do it. I like it. How do we go about making an offer?
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, we're going to figure out exactly what they're looking for in terms of an offer. So there are, tons of other things that might be beneficial to sellers. For example, if the sellers need to be in their home until March or April or May, um, they might need a lease back. So if we can offer that, great. If we can't, then ultimately that's not going to be an offer that we're going to make. So first we need to take into account what the seller is looking for, and if we're able to provide that. And we're also needing to see, you know, what they're looking for, so that we make sure that if we're making an offer, we're making it as strong as possible, right? It's a lot of time for us to go through the offer and go through all the terms together, to not be the winner. So let's make sure that we're putting our best foot forward on the very first try. After that, in, maybe not this second, but when right now is like the Wild West and nobody knows what things will go for. But normally we'll look at the comps. We'll show exactly what other homes are going for, have gone for in that area. Um, we'll look at it from a more appraiser level. So, okay, we'll try to stick to the same number of bedrooms and bathrooms, garage if there's a garage, and acreage as well is really important, especially in like true Austin proper, because the dirt is everything. And so we'll look at all of that together. We'll talk about price per square foot. And from that, we'll look and see, okay, is the home underpriced? Is the home priced accordingly? Is the home overpriced? And then, depending on how many offers they've received, we'll try to gauge from the agent, what do those offers look like? How can we make ours more competitive? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we really go from there. But again, it's a very individualized basis. Every single contract is different. Every single home is different. Every seller is looking for different things.
Yeah, I definitely like that there's no, at least what you're explaining, there's no one size fits all, right?
Right. And so sometimes I'm writing a contract, and, there's hardly any miscellaneous forms, and it'll take me, 30, 45 minutes. And then other times the home's in a floodplain, it's in an HOA, it needs a lease back. There's like all of these different particulars, and it takes me so much longer. So it just depends.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Could you kind of explain also what a floodplain is?
Sure. So Austin has, areas and not just Austin, surrounding as well that are considered in the 100, 200, and 500-year floodplains. And so that's areas that they foresee will flood in 100 years, maybe likely to flood in 200 or in 500 years. And so we take those things into consideration when we're purchasing a home. Um, Many homes in Austin are not in those floodplains. And so clearly those are more desirable. We also look at, is it in a floodplain because of flood insurance? That's an extra cost that you may have to pay every month that may make a home unaffordable to some clients of mine, depending on the price point of the home and their budget. That being said, too, we'll look at, has it flooded previously? I would never want to put my client in a position where the home floods every year and it's a regularity and they're just going to have to deal with it, because that is so costly and upsetting and not a life that you want to live. Um, so that's what we're looking into. And when we're comping and everything, we're looking and making sure that we're not comping with properties that aren't in a flood zone if ours is, and vice versa. So just really doing our due diligence there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about your due diligence, doing your homework, right?
Yes, it is. And there's a lot of homework to be done.
Yeah, and you also mentioned another term as well was HOA. If you could describe, what an HOA is.
I'd be happy to. So an HOA is a homeowners association. And so that's something where it could depend on if you're buying a home in a certain neighborhood or a certain area, it could sit in an HOA. If it does sit in an HOA, then there are certain rules that you have to abide by and follow. You might need to go through an approval process to make changes on your home. Um, and at the same token, you'll also have to pay a monthly or yearly fee depending to be part of that HOA. That fee could also cover potentially, community areas, whether that's a swimming pool or tennis courts, or pay for community uh, lawn care and other yard maintenance. Totally depends. So looking at an HOA contract before you sign anything with an HOA is absolutely key. I have clients that are adamant they will not live in a place with an HOA. They don't want to live by someone else's rules. And then I have other clients that really like an HOA and what it offers. They like the fact that their neighbor's home is going to look a certain way and that everyone has to upkeep it. So it just depends on preferences.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess like anything else, like you just said, it depends on preferences.
hmm It does, and they can be super beneficial to people or not, depending on your lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely, Lindsay. Well, is there anything else you haven't said thus far you really just like to hit home?
I don't think so, unless there's any other questions that you have for me.
Yeah, no. I mean, let's say that someone's watching, maybe they're, outside the state of Texas looking to move to Austin, or, would maybe just like to ask you a few questions, how can we get in touch with you?
Of course, anyone's welcome to give me a call, send me an email or a text. I'm happy to answer any questions at any time. Just have a simple conversation about what Austin looks like, what the real estate here looks like, and how I can best help them, friend or family member. So my phone number is 617-794-0080. No, I have not changed it since I moved from Boston. And my email is Lindsey, Lindsey, at thebuchergroup.com, which is TheBucherGroup.com.
Yeah, sounds great, Lindsay. Well, thank you. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show. Learned a bit about you, your background in education. Working in real estate with a lot of home buyers around the city of Austin. So it's been great.
It's been really wonderful. Thank you again for having me. And I'm so glad we're connected from UT.
Yeah, that too. It's crazy how much time has gone by, and it's always great to see people like yourself, doing well.
And same to you.
All right. Talk to you later, Lindsay.
Sounds good. Bye.